Hello and welcome back to the channel. I've got some great action in store for you today because this video is an epic off-piste adventure.
That was great. Nice.
Oh yes, today's video is going to be a good one. But before we head straight to the trails, apparently I've got a quick errand to run. Well, this doesn't look right. Probably shouldn't be able to do that. So, without the proper tools in the garage to fix it, I took it to a man who does.
Doing good coffee.
I've come here to the new Adventure Trail shop to see Gaz and Beck, and I really need their help. But as long as I don't lose any pieces of my cassette, I'm sure they'll be able to... Oops. So while Gaz set to work doing what he does best, I chilled out with a coffee in their new cafe.
Okay, that's the wheel done. Now time to get to the trails.
So what better way to check if your wheels are working properly than to head out in search of some monumental single track. Luckily, the first trail out the car park is one that I've ridden before. Not that my memory's good enough to remember exactly what happens on this trail, but at least I know there aren't any jumps or drops. In fact, this is a great little trail. It's on the flowier side of riding with a few easy routes and things to contend with. I really like this trail because it feels out in the open. Most of the trails I'm going to ride today are deep in the woods and they get pretty close at times, so this one feels like a bit of a luxury gliding along the top of the hill. And I know it won't come across on camera, but it has great views of the entire forest from up here. Once you travel along the top of the hill, the trail starts to get a bit faster towards the end. At about a minute long, this trail isn't exactly a marathon, but it's just the right length and difficulty for a perfect warm-up. And what do you know, my wheel's still in one piece. Once I was at the bottom of the trail, I picked a direction and went in search of some more random single track.
So I've just stumbled across this little trail to the left. I really don't know where it goes or even which part of the forest I'm in, so let's just give it a try and see what we can find.
This trail really is a random find. I don't exactly know where I am, and I certainly don't know where this trail comes out or what's on it, but there's only one way to find out. I really enjoy rides where I can go out and explore a location and find awesome trails to ride. I always tell people that the best way to find new trails is just to go out and look for them. And with this one, I struck gold. This just happens to be about a 2-minute long trail, which takes a winding route through the tight trees, open fell sections, and it ends on a steeper part of the hill. Like a lot of the trails here, they start a bit flatter and gradually get steeper. But saying that, the top section of this trail was actually really interesting. It cuts a fun line through the woods, avoiding the trees and weaving around the terrain. It flows nicely and has a few fun obstacles that you can only find on off-piste trails like this. Because the environment changes with the seasons, things like your grip, your visibility and just the general trail conditions will be different every time you ride a trail like this. This all means that it can be inspiringly unpredictable and a lot of fun. But this also means that you need to keep focused on what you're doing, especially when you're riding it for the first time like me, just because you don't know how the trail's going to behave. So definitely exercise caution on your first run down. The end of the trail gets a bit steeper, but it maintains a fun and agile nature. There are no jumps or drop features on here, but the trail is plenty rowdy enough for these conditions. At about 2 minutes long, this is a decent enough trail length that I wouldn't mind riding it again at some point. If I only knew where I was. Once I got my eye in, the trails were popping out of the woodwork. Literally. This one is a short punchy trail filled with some fun kickers and drops made out of fallen trees and old tree stumps. This is only a short trail, but what it lacks in distance, it makes up for with pure enjoyment. This is an involved and challenging trail that holds your attention the whole way down. Its tight corners and undulating terrain mean that you have to keep your eyes on the trail and keep your legs ready to either pump, jump or pedal. It was good to see that there are a couple of alternative lines that you can take to spice this trail up even more. It's worth saying that I have ridden parts of this trail in the past and aspects have definitely changed over time. So, like I said before, it's important to keep your wits about you. The conditions today were actually really good on this trail and the terrain was running really smoothly. The whole time I was able to maintain my speed well, but that definitely can't be said for all the trails I rode today.
So on a lot of these trails the ground looks really wet and slippery, and in some cases it is, but in other places it's ice cold and it's completely frozen, so you don't know if you're going to slip on something or it's just going to be a frozen rut. It makes it really difficult to navigate, but let's do it.
Yeah, when the temperature's been in the minus numbers for the last week, a lot of the wetter trails got frozen solid. But as they've started to thaw, the slippery mud is back in abundance. The slick conditions made the top part of this trail a bit of a slog, but the lower part was still on top form. After picking up some speed, the trail winds its way down across a series of fun jumps. These are only a foot or two high, but they certainly made the trail more interesting. It's definitely a good trail for building confidence on things like jumps, and everything seems pretty non-threatening, which is a good place to start. That is, until you get to the end. The trail ends with a bang in the form of a steep 6-foot roll down onto the fire road.
Nice.
Of course, going on random adventures in unknown terrain is great fun, but sometimes it does have its downsides, like when you take a wrong turn.
Why do I always make these stupid decisions? I thought I saw a shortcut on the map and it ends up being some ratty overgrown path. Stick to the plan, Ollie.
I really wish I'd taken my own advice on this one, but to be honest, this is what adventures are all about. And they can lead you to some unexpected surprises. Speaking of which...
So we're in luck. I'm not sure how well you can see this on camera, but there's a trail that comes along there. There's a bit of a weird corner drop thing down there, and it tails off way down there. So let's find the start and see how it rides.
The last trail I want to show you was a brilliant find, which I once again stumbled on completely by accident. And of course, it started in the usual way Cannock Piste trails start, with a bit of a flat pedal. Like a lot of unsuspecting natural trails here, they start slowly, often winding their way through tight trees, or mud. But just when you think you've made a wrong turn, the trail comes alive. Starting with a drop, your speed increases dramatically as you're catapulted into a fast, bumpy downhill trail. Today, the corners were a bit loose and the trail was slightly unpredictable, but that's half the fun of off-piste trails. It's honestly amazing to see just what you can find when you go out exploring for an hour or so. And what's more is that I haven't even scratched the surface of what's around here. On this trail, there were also a couple of small drops to the right that I missed on this run. When you're riding along a trail for the first time trying to avoid the trees, it's easy to miss out exciting features like these. So I made a mental note to come back and ride the trail again next time I'm here, if I can find it. So this marks the end of today's adventure. The temperature is dropping and I'm heading back to the car to get warm. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more action, and I'll see you next time.
Awkward stage now where we have to pay for things.